Welcome to Reflections, a program where we discuss values and virtues for the transformation of the individual and the society in general. I am Father George Ehusani, and I have with me in the studio once again Dr. Theresa Nwachukwu. You are welcome.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Nwachukwu is a public health specialist, deputy state epidemiologist for FCT. Correct, right? Good. So, the last time we discussed about public health and issues and so on and so forth, and I remember that I was speaking about why do you have to wait until World Bank or WHO before we get things going. But you say, well, they don't do things for us. It is we they use. And I'm saying not only should they use us, but actually we should be.
We do the work, they support us.
We don't need their support. This country is so endowed. 200 million, they say we are, human beings with 400 million hands.
Absolutely.
And we are highly intelligent people. We are supposed to be donating to WHO to spend for poor countries. We shouldn't count ourselves among the poor countries that are just receiving, really. So we Nigerians need to actually look into ourselves once again and rate ourselves higher.
Right.
This time, I want us to discuss mental health. Mental health issue is public health issue, right?
Absolutely.
Mental health is squarely under your whatever. Will I be exaggerating if I say that mental health issues or challenges with mental health now is becoming an epidemic in our society? In the last 10 years, with worsening economic fortunes, worsening circumstances of families in terms of family cohesion, with uncertainty in this country as to what is going to happen next, violence, insecurity, many people are breaking down mentally.
Right.
We at Terra here, we run psychotrauma healing, and we are aware of how widespread mental health challenges. And other people are aware of the number of people in this society, including well-placed people or children of well-placed people who are on drugs. There are families where one child is coming out of rehabilitation and another child is going into rehabilitation in this country and in this city.
Right.
And there's depression, growing phenomenon of depression. Now and again, we are shocked when we hear news of suicide, of people who actually carry out suicide. But there's a lot of suicide ideation all over the place.
Yeah.
My question is, how aware are you professionals about the seriousness of the lack of mental well-being in our society? How aware are you all in that, in the public health unit in the country? I'm not just saying in your own, about that we are facing an epidemic, as it were.
The awareness is real, and the awareness is quite great. Because when you explore the domains that you used to examine the mental health of people, you can clearly see that there are issues. And so the awareness is great, and there's a systematic response going on. Because like you rightly said, it's not just until people are walking madly or walking naked in the marketplace as we used to understand it in those days. There are so many dimensions that you can use to assess if someone is in a good mental place or not. Okay, I mean, basic cognitive abilities, for instance, would tell you if somebody is in a good mental space. Someone's ability to even read and write, to even understand, to make decisions. Okay, so we're aware of this. We see this in our practice. We see this in our interactions with the community because we work with the community. So we know the awareness is there, and we have a system of referring them to care. So these are some of the domains. How is someone able to read or write? Or let's say empathy. How empathic are we? we're aware of this. We see that people lack empathy. The very fact that you can, you're not able to place yourself in someone else's shoes. The fact that even as a leader, you're not able to say, what is going on with these people? Why are people on the street? Why are people sitting on the roadside in the heat? Because they're looking for a penny, somebody to drop some money for them. The inability to empathize and to do something about that is a mental health issue. So that lack of empathy is a mental health issue, and we're aware of this. And then even to lack of the inability to modulate your emotions, for instance, to handle your emotions.
We see road rage all over the place.
Right, which is inappropriate for the situation, right? So it's dynamic. Mental health is a dynamic state. That so many ways you could describe it. A dynamic state of equilibrium, of kind of peace, of balance that we should have. So it means that there's room to be angry. But you should have the ability to modulate your anger. If this situation doesn't warrant this level of rage and anger, it shouldn't.
So is it a mental health issue? What we saw in Anambra State some time ago, when somebody big lady went out and then to harass somebody, and so another person gave a slap. Are there dimensions that could be called in that kind of circumstance?
Yes.
On such a day,
right?
That kind of show of shame may be pointing to some mental health challenges.
So if anybody looks at that or hears that story, you would want the aggressor. You would want to start with the aggressor. Mm-hmm. What was it? What could drive someone in that kind of forum to actually get up and go to confront someone else when you didn't go to give pleasantries, to go to greet, or go to smile? What kind of mental state? As a matter of fact, when a colleague of mine were discussing this, must have been on drugs. That was what someone said. So I wouldn't know. But then, could there be some substance abuse involved? Could there be something else that was going on there? So you could look at those aspects. That's why I say when you're dealing with a mental health issue, there are so many domains that you want to look at. So inability to modulate your emotions, that was what brought this up. Now, on the part of the other person, could you have responded in a different way? Yes.
Could you have called for help from people around?
Could you have ignored? Nobody knows, we didn't see clearly what happened there. But then some people would say there's a level of that you respond, and then you realize, oh, I've done the right thing, or I've done the wrong thing, and you apologize. Or there's some people that would say, what I did was never wrong. What I did was the right thing. So how are you able to modulate your emotions when situation calls for it? That will help you to assess mental status of someone. Okay, so I'm not going to say, oh, somebody was mentally ill or not, but it's likely that in the moment someone was unable to modulate their response or their emotional response to a situation, and that could also be stress. We don't know what preceded that level.
If somebody was so stressed up, or somebody has been pushed to the extent that at that moment she doesn't know what she's doing and she acted in that inappropriate way on that occasion, it points to the level of mental well-being generally. I mean, it points to.
You really have to look at some of those things.
And I'm saying this was just one example. The example we have given is just one example.
Yes.
But these are things that are happening every day.
Absolutely. So what it means is that mental unwellness it's quite prevalent. It's a really, really major prevalent problem. People are unable to deal with their basic stress, the normal stress of life, because life itself comes with the normal stress of life, and it is the way you respond to that stress that determines if you're going to have a healthy mental state or not. Stress, like I always tell people, is not really the situation. It's your reaction to the situation. And you could illustrate it by two people in traffic. One person is just chilling out. He's just listening to music in their car and just waiting for the traffic to. The other person is angry and honking. So one of them is under stress, is stressed out. So the situation is the same, but the response to that situation is completely different. And so inability to respond in a stressful situation appropriately or handle your normal stress in life could point to
well, and then the
breakdown.
stresses in Nigeria today are a number of the stressors are far from normal.
Right.
Number of the stressors are far from normal. I'm told of some governor in some state paying people 17-20% of their monthly salary. Not that their monthly salary is even able to take them home.
Right.
So
you don't give them all of it.
So somebody is expecting 50,000 naira and gets 15,000 naira. And it's not that if he got the 50,000 naira, it could take him home, really. So the kind of stressors we are getting today are not actually normal stressors. True. Or you live in contemporary Nigeria and that for 24 hours you got light for 30 minutes or none at all. And in March, with the heat, there are parts of this country that the heat in March is just terrible.
Right.
And then you got light for 1 hour in 24 hours or less.
And you can't get fuel to run your
and you
generator.
cannot get fuel to run your generator. So these are not normal stressors. These are extraordinary stressors. You have no money and there is heat.
Yeah.
And you have no light, and you have no money. Even when you want to scrape some money to buy diesel, you don't have diesel or you don't have fuel.
And the dangerous thing, I agree with you, is that Nigerians are really so resilient, because without the level of resilience that we have, I think most people would probably be stuck, mad on the street. So. But the level of resilience sometimes could be a form of suppression. You're suppressing the frustration. You're suppressing the anger.
So it may actually not be resilience. It may be something else, because
is adapting. You have to adapt to a situation, because if you don't adapt, what else is there for you to do? Because these stressors are not going away, or they haven't gone away. You wake up and you meet them and nobody's dealing with them. So there has to be some coping mechanism. There has to be some adapting processes and I think that's what Nigerians have perfected, so giving a semblance of normalcy, which is not really there.
Dr. Igbekwe, whom I had in this studio, calls it habituation.
Right.
Nigerians are habituated to the situation. They
right.
have what is most abnormal is being normalized, which is unfortunate, because it is not desirable that this kind of ugly situations be normal.
Right. I totally. And there's so many things in terms of mental health. I was just thinking, recently we had young people who had left this country to go study in Ukraine. And 3 months, 6 months, many of them are back. Now, have we considered what those young people are going through? Have we considered?
And no counseling.
And nobody's talking about it. So you have hundreds of young people who have been yanked off from their dreams, that, they were thinking, okay, in the next 5-6 years, I'm going to be in this place and then I'm going to come back to my country, and then you yank them. So here, they didn't have the opportunity to get into school. There, they couldn't contribute. Can we imagine what the mental state of these young people are? I have friends whose children have come back. And so what are we doing to ensure that...
And the majority of the children who are going to public universities in this country are at home.
They're at home right now.
They're at home.
They're at home.
Now, these are children who were at home for 1 year. Yeah. There was a strike for 1 year, 2019 to 2020. 1 whole year. And then they got back to school for just a little over a year, and they are at home again now.
They're at home now.
Now, and they are growing, they are getting older,
So imagine the opportunities that you're setting these young people up for. Imagine the dangers they could get in because they're not being productively engaged. If you're not able to engage them productively, it's not like there are jobs that could go in to do. So it's not like it's hard. It's hard. And I think we have to be more, the question started with how aware are we of this?
Yeah.
So we're aware of this.
If you are aware, then so what are
we doing?
You in public health, those of you in public health, what are they doing? I mean, I am aware that mental health, psychological health has actually not been well gazetted or properly whatever in Nigeria. It's still a challenge. Some efforts have been made. I'm told that the Ministry of Health is trying to create a department and blah, blah, blah. But we are still far from where we should be in terms of recognition of mental health as a profession.
And that's because the conversation is just hitting up in the last few years.
Yes.
If you remember from what you do, this wasn't something that people were talking about.
No, it's only in the last few years that
Absolutely.
that
So I'm hoping that this will be, and again, if people don't come out to say what they're dealing with, you can't help. I remember COVID-19 during the lockdown. I remember how depressed people were, including physicians, including clinicians. People were angry, people were afraid, people were locked in, people were traumatized. And nobody did any counseling. Nobody just were doctors that were treating patients. The next day were patients
themselves.
So
yes,
and that for a doctor can be very devastating. When you're at the mercy of someone else, when you're used to being the one with the power, so to say, and now you're a patient, you have to take instructions. A lot of them would tell you it was a very devastating and depressing time for them. They never got any counseling. Many of them didn't even realize that that was a mental health issue, that they should have sought for help. And now we have a lot of mental health. Carol General Hospital now is fully a place where we send people for mental health help. So we are hoping that we can do more, create more awareness, talk about it.
I run an institute in Nairobi, Kenya. And when I compare Kenya to Nigeria in terms of mental health awareness, and I'm just asking myself, how come part of the reason why we started the institute in Kenya is the fact that in the city of Nairobi, if you are looking for experts in 10, 12 different areas of mental health, you will get within 2-3 universities in Nairobi, meaning that the awareness and the number of people who are practicing, clinicians in mental health, clinical psychologists that are practicing, and people are ready to pay, because that's another dimension in this country, that until people actually break down and need psychiatrists, people are not ready in this country to go pay somebody to go and talk. They just feel so the awareness is still, I mean, you may be aware in your department, but the awareness is still very low. And Nigeria has trained thousands of psychologists, but they are involved, they are working in the bank, they are teaching in schools, they are doing whatever. Very few are gainfully employed as psychologists.
And that's because of that lack of awareness.
Because
they couldn't make a living out of it.
Yeah, they couldn't make a living
out of it. So they either left the country where they are in demand, or like you said, they went in to do other things.
Yes.
So it's precisely why the awareness is coming up. That's why this conversation is happening.
Yeah, because we shouldn't wait.
Yes.
We shouldn't wait until we're all naked on the streets before we know that we have a mental health emergency.
Right, we do. Because the stressors, like we talked about, the very nature of our environment, the very nature of people around us. It's so, I mean, every day you listen to the news, someone is kidnapped, someone is being ritual. It's crazy how we're able to hold it together. So I think Nigerians kind of have just learned to zone off, to just kind of pretend that nothing is happening, that everything is okay. And until we continue this conversation, we encourage more people to go into that field, and also not just going into that field. Right now, apart from maybe psychiatrists who are already doctors and they're practicing psychiatry, very few clinical psychologists can earn a living in Nigeria. So most people don't even see. But I think if you're out there and this is an area you're interested in, I really would encourage you to get involved in it, because it's a field that is going to gain traction.
In the next 5-10 years, with what we are seeing in Nigeria, Now, many Nigerians will have to be consulting counselors, psychologists in the next one, because with what we are seeing, and unfortunately, there is no getting out of our situation in the next 2-3 years. I mean, yeah, we can have a change of government, we can have whatever, but the mess of the last 20-30 years will not go away in 2-3 years.
Right.
And the consequences, the widespread insecurity. I mean, the fact that most people have to live in a prison that they construct with their own hands. Most people have to live 2-3 iron doors before their room. You know, that's
Right.
prison.
Yeah.
Most people have to live in a prison of their own construction. That on its own, it's crazy.
Yeah.
The fact that you have no idea of tomorrow. You don't know which one is going to. Tomorrow you hear that, oh, they say, but they are coming. The bandits are coming to Abuja. Oh, they have reached Suleja. To live with that kind of.
Yes.
And then you have children in secondary schools, and you hear that there's a secondary school that they went to take children from the dormitory. How does it make you feel?
It's sad, and you're driving from. I mean, if you're driving, let's say from Abuja to Makurdi or any of the roads, you see healthy young people just sitting. Just if every community, you see them just sitting under the trees, just waiting for
handouts.
Nothing. Just you don't know what they're waiting for. So how can that be a healthy way to live?
Of course it's not healthy.
Yes, so these are part of the things. And we don't understand the mental, especially men who have this territorial thing, I should be taking care of my family, I should be taking care of my children. And you're just sitting under the tree. And we're talking about thousands and thousands of people as you move from town to town. You see this
Thank you for mentioning men, because what we're talking about is affecting everybody, but men a lot more. Reason is that we inherited a society where men, it was normally expected that men take responsibility for their families, for their wife, for their children. And so when you now have a man with 2, 3, 4 children, and he's doing nothing for 1 month, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you have taken the man out of him.
Absolutely.
So as you see him sitting down under the tree, looking at the horizon, he's not there. He's off.
Absolutely.
And like we said, there is no counseling available for him.
Yeah. There's no way for him to go and talk about this and really pour out how he feels, how powerless that makes him feel. There's no place to, and so at the slightest opportunity, the tendency then would be to show some form of power, and that's why you see
violence.
So you see violence coming in, you see aggression coming in towards the nearest and likely the dearest and nearest to him. And it's not because this is what he would like to do, but there's just something in him that needs to show off, or that needs to come out, or that he can't hold in anymore. And so it presents in that way. And of course, women, on the other hand, have other ways of letting out stress. I think women handle stress much better. Women can cry. Women can talk more. Women would talk. If two women get together, they're busy telling themselves what happened in there. Don't mind that, you know. They can let go of their. But men, I understand,
men have been brought up not to show emotions.
Not to show emotions, and so it's harder. I think the stress and all of that is much harder on men than on women. Women would go and fix their hair and go and take a massage, go and paint their nails. These are therapies that people don't realize. Women will go and massage me, go for steaming or whatever. Or they just go to plait their hair. That fact alone is therapy, you know. And men may not have that kind of self-care.
And what would you say to women, to some women, because many men today are suffering severely on account of women that don't understand that the mere fact that this man has no job is already torture for him.
Right.
And then we have circumstances where the woman will now press it in. The fact that I am the one feeding you. You call yourself a man. I'm the. And you have killed this man.
Absolutely.
But many women don't know.
I think it's would I say women don't know? I think a woman who does that just doesn't care. I think so.
I think if we are more generous to them to say they don't know, if they know, will they?
Because I think everybody should understand that a man is made and programmed to provide. A man is made and programmed to be at the head. That's what I think. I don't know. A lot of people out there
it's being challenged now. It's being challenged now.
So. So I think that is how men are programmed to deal with situations. I should be in charge. I should be the provider and all of that. So fine, society has widened. Stress has become so much that women are now chipping in and working hand in hand. But I think it's very important, especially in committed relationships, for women to understand the importance of letting the man be the man. I tell people that who come to me for counseling, let the man be the man, whatever that would mean for you. The respect, the honor. In fact, I tell people, say, oh, I paid the house rent, I do this, I do this, I do this. I don't even think that's the right thing to do. There should be a way to let the man be the man. But in the situation where the man is unable to do those things, and you as a woman are doing those things, nobody even needs to know that you're doing those things.
But many women broadcast the thing, they broadcast the thing, and they and they make everybody who cares to hear that. Even I mean, I have circumstance someday where it's about even father, even the dress he's wearing, and I'm the one who bought it.
That's
how do you want?
Yes, emasculating the individual.
Yes, that's the word,
emasculating the individual. Because, and if you understand, you have sons, you have brothers, you have uncles. We'd like to say that to men. Oh, you have sisters and all of that. I think it's also important to know that we have these male figures around us, and supporting them. Because if a woman supports a man to be the man that he was meant to be, that's our role.
The home will be
a much better place without even disempowering the woman.
No.
Yes, in the long run, the woman is not disempowered in any way. So that's what I have come to realize. When the man is actually taking the lead, you end up doing everything you want to do. The woman, it turns round.
Well, except Theresa, yes. Except that they will call you a male patriarchal. You are a supporter of a patriarchal male chauvinist society, but definitely, I mean, the scenario you have painted will make for a happier relationship, a better home, and so on.
I think so. The important thing is you want a happy, balanced home, yes. Not who is competition, not power. That's it. And because we're talking about the mental health of issues of people, and so these are some of the things
that will help
to balance that state of internal equilibrium that we talked about, internal balance, where people are just at peace and are able to deal with the stress that life throws at them. So
thank you very much. On this note, I'm bringing this program to an end. I've been speaking with Dr. Theresa Nwachukwu, a public health specialist and epidemiologist in the FCT, and we have been speaking about mental health and how prevalent mental health issues are today. Many people are having to deal with very stressful situations that some people are not coping with very well and are falling below the normal range of mental well-being. And the need for us to show compassion, right?
Absolutely.
The need for everyone, including intimate partners, wife and husband,
absolutely,
to show compassion, because everybody is carrying so much burden.
Absolutely.
And what you were saying about a considerate wife when the husband is not working, is very, very important.
It's a huge thing.
Yeah. So thank you very much for coming, and God bless you. We pray that someday we will be able to move out of this terrible situation we are in this country, so that people can explore their potentials in a more healthy environment. We can have better mental well-being.
Thank you for having me, Father.
Thank you very much. Thank you.